excited we almost can't stand still out here. It is time for the junior division of the Pokemon video game finals. Please welcome your two finalists, Connor Yuen and Justin Miranda Radford. Connor, are you ready? Justin, are you ready?
Yeah!
Awesome, that's what I like to hear. You two take your seats and let's get into this game, okay? Take it away.
All right, thank you, Anna, and good luck to Justin and Connor as they get ready to start playing. You know, like we were talking about before we went to that lovely introduction video, both of these trainers are incredibly accomplished, having multiple titles under their belt, even though they're only in the juniors division.
You kind of see how comfortable Justin is on stage. You know, he seems like every time we have a big tournament, we wind up seeing him up here. Some players kind of get a little nervous where you get your first time on a big stage, and he's a veteran now, even though he's so young.
Yeah, I was actually talking to him before the event, and you know, I went up to say hi. He's like, "I know you," and it's like, "I know you," and you know, he's just so excited to be playing on stream. I know it's very intimidating for a lot of people, but you know, I think he thrives in it. And, you know, definitely, you know, going to his player profile, you can see that, you know, again, winner of the European International Championship earlier this year, winner of the Latin American International Championship earlier this year, and 8-time regional champion all this year.
Yeah, normally we'd be talking about these amazing international championship finishes, right? And that's great. It's ridiculous. He's been in 3 international finals this year. But 8-time regional champion, when we saw that stat, it was like, there must be some mistake here, right? Has he attended 8 regional championships? Has he won 8 regional championships, maybe over his entire career? Did he win 8 games at a single regional? Like, winning 8 regionals in 1 year is not a thing, but he's still done it. It's absolutely unbelievable. Easily the global championship points leader, as you might imagine, given that he's taken nearly the maximum amount of possible championship points this year.
Yeah, and Justin will be piloting a team that looks very familiar. You know, that Porygon 2, Incineroar, Manectric, Celesteela, Tapu Fini, and Snorlax. We'll break that down a little bit later, but, you know, on Connor's side of the field, he is also a regional champion. You know, he won the Perth Regionals back in 2016. He won the Malaysian Regional Championships earlier this year and got top 4 at the Brazil International Championships and top 8 in London. And I believe Justin actually knocked him out of contention in a past international championship as well. So it's a little bit of a rematch for him.
Yeah, probably looking to get that big win, and the team he's going to try to do it with is something I think our fans are just going to love.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, we were talking about this before backstage.
Yeah, 3 different starter Pokemon on that team, Sceptile, Primarina, even the Thundurus Therian form, not something we see very often. Como-O, but not really in the context we usually see it. You know, we don't see those things like Tapu Bulu, like Gengar, like Clefairy supporting it. This team is very different, very unique. Should be really fun to see it in action.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's cool to call out about his team is, you know, Connor's family, actually, they all play Pokemon together. You know, they play the TCG for fun. They play the video game seriously. And even though he's practiced with all of his siblings going into this tournament, you know, I talked to him, and this is entirely his own team. His favorite Pokemon is Sceptile, so I'm pretty sure that has a little bit of influence on, you know, what Pokemon he decided to bring. But it's just incredible to see that creativity and just see him, you know, make it to this big of a stage. For those of you at home, his top 4 game, you might be familiar with the team archetype around the Pokemon Chansey. It's kind of notorious for what it does. You know, Connor was able to beat that, and looking at his team, he doesn't have the standard counters you would think of to stopping something like that. So it's incredible that he's been able to run this so well.
I think it's really telling when you see a younger player who is able to overcome a strategy like that. It's tough to get around those tricky, like, unconventional strategies, no matter how good of a player you are. But often, you know, when you're a little bit younger, you know, you understand how to play the game a certain way, but it's harder to adapt to something that's really unexpected. The fact he was able to take down that notorious Chansey's team, you know, rumors of it were flying around all weekend long. I think it says a lot about him, his skill as a player. These two really are the best of the best in this age division. I'm so excited that they're matching up, and I can't wait to see this match.
All right, we are in team preview now of the Juniors Championship battle here at the North American International Championships. Justin is going to be on the left-hand side of your screen, Connor on the right. And again, for those of you just tuning in, Justin is running a team of Porygon 2, Incineroar, Manectric, Celesteela, Tapu Fini, and Snorlax versus Connor's team of Sceptile, Como-O, Primarina, Incineroar, Mawile, and Thundurus Therian. I thought team preview ended there for a sec. I was going to say that was pretty quick, but looks like they're still taking their time.
I got to check out that Pokemon information.
Sometimes you forget.
One thing that's cool about Justin's team, I noticed a lot of older Pokemon here. Team actually based on what he was using in the 2017 Championship Series format. 4 of the same Pokemon there in Celesteela, Tapu Fini, Snorlax, and Porygon 2, with Incineroar and Manectric tagging in to replace the Arcanine and Tapu Koko he used. So even though it's a different format now, using a team he had success with, something he should be very comfortable with. So expect him to make really measured, smart plays with all the matches he's played, all the matches he's won with the team.
Yeah, and it's such a strong core, too, you know, having the Snorlax around in case your opponent likes to run Trick Room, or even for a Trick Room of your own with that Porygon 2. Incineroar, probably one of the most notorious Pokemon in the metagame right now. Not on the field yet, though. Instead, Justin leading with the Tapu Fini and the Porygon 2 against Connor's lead of Primarina and Sceptile. I think he's going to go for it.
I'm excited.
I'm so excited.
All I wanted for this match was to see these 2 Pokemon in the field. It's going to be interesting, though. So one thing that's great about using these first partner Pokemon is they have the moves the pledge moves, like Grass Pledge, Water Pledge, and Fire Pledge are all available. They have interesting effects if you use both of them at the same time. So I assume that's some of what's going on here, but it's interesting looking at this turn too. What's your plan against a duo like this?
I'm not sure. Tapu Fini is going to protect itself, stopping the Leaf Storm from the Sceptile from connecting with it, and Primarina going for Hyper Voice. Primarina's ability is Liquid Voice, which is like Pixelate or Aerialate on other Pokemon, turning that Hyper Voice into a Water-type move, while Porygon 2 twists the dimensions.
I think that's really big for Justin here. Most of his Pokemon are slower than Connor's, and there's also some other tricks on Connor's team. If these Pokemon do have the pledge moves, they can create a effect that slows down all of the Pokemon on Justin's side. So keeping Trick Room up throughout this match is going to be really integral for him.
Ice Beam connecting with that Sceptile. It's going to do a nice amount of damage because it is super effective, while Primarina actually underspeeds the Tapu Fini for another Hyper Voice. It's not going to do a lot of damage, but Tapu Fini ready to fire off a Moonblast of its own, also into that Sceptile slot. So possibly maybe trying to see if it would Mega Evolve into its Dragon-type Mega Evolution.
Normally when you see Sceptile, you assume it's going to Mega Evolve. Pretty rare to see a Sceptile that doesn't. The fact that it didn't there is interesting. Looking at Connor's team with both Sceptile and Maw on it, you might assume that it's a team that's 2 different options for Mega Evolving, but maybe it wasn't.
Maybe it wasn't. Thunderous Therian out on the field as well now for Connor. Definitely something that Tapu Fini is going to be afraid of.
Definitely going to have to be careful, too. We do know that there is a Manectric on the other side of the field, so just throwing electric-type attacks at willy-nilly could backfire.
Another Ice Beam from Porygon 2, this time connecting with the protecting Thunderous Therian, and Primarina is just content to keep firing off these Hyper Voices. They're really starting to add up. And we get the first Z move of the game from that Tapu Fini. It's the Waterium Z, most likely turning into a Hydro Vortex.
Yeah, likely going to target that Thunderous Therian form, so that Protect going to really pay off for Connor.
Definitely. You know, it'll only do a little bit of damage, but maybe that'll be helpful depending on what this Thunderous is holding. Like, you want to get all the chip damage you can, especially when you're using something like Porygon 2's Ice Beam to attack, because, you know, Porygon 2 tried to get the download boost to boost its special attack, didn't get it. It might not be enough to knock it out on its own.
Right, the Pokemon on Justin's side are very sturdy defensive Pokemon, so getting those little points of damage can make a big deal, especially when you're attacking again with weaker attacks and with spread attacks.
There's the Ice Beam from the Porygon 2, and as we suspected, it just barely falls short of that knockout with another Hyper Voice from that Primarina connecting with that Tapu Fini. You know, looking at how Justin is playing this game, he's really just letting that Primarina hang around, and it's starting to cost him.
Yeah, Primarina's doing a lot of damage here. Interesting also to see that Porygon choosing not to recover, instead kind of ensuring that both it and the Thunderous are knocked out. And because of that, there's a 3-2 lead for Justin, but Primarina is still sitting pretty, doing a bunch of damage, and with Tapu Fini holding that Z Crystal instead of a healing item like we normally see, it's in danger of being knocked out shortly as well.
Well, we get to see Connor's last Pokemon, and it's a personal favorite. It's going to be that Como-O. You know, when we were talking about team preview, that Como-O seemed like an interesting pick, and you have to wonder, how is it going to match up against, you know, the Celesteela, which is very bulky, and Tapu Fini, which is a Fairy-type Pokemon? Yeah,
facing down a Steel-type and a Fairy-type Pokemon, definitely not what you're looking for Como-O. Perhaps it'll protect, see if Primarina can get a little bit more damage in and allow it to get going on the next turn.
Yeah, and just that Celesteela as well getting a Misty Seed boost and activating the cool effect of Acrobatics because it's no longer holding a hold item. That did a little bit of extra damage, bringing Primarina down to half of its health. Another Hyper Voice gets a critical hit onto the Celesteela, brings it down to half its health, and a Moonblast from that Tapu Fini doesn't connect with the Como-O, instead predicting something like a Protect, going to go into that Primarina and Flamethrower, not the Celesteela, trying to pick up the knockout on Tapu Fini, but it's just able to hold on as Trick Room. The Twisted Dimensions return to normal.
Oh, it's a big survival. Tapu Fini now quicker than Primarina since Trick Room has expired. Preventing Como also from using that Z move. It's not going to knock out either Pokemon here. Tapu Fini would be immune to the Dragon-type damage, able to finish off Primarina. Just that close on Connor's side for maybe turning this one around, but this is a really tough spot, even with the tables turning and Como maybe having a chance to increase its speed without Trick Room active.
Yeah, that Como-O is really going to have to target down that Tapu Fini because, as you may recall, Primarina is slower than it. Instead, going for a Protect. Tapu Fini protecting as well, so this could be Primarina's shot to try and knock out that Celesteela. It will be able to use the Hyper Voice to attack, but remember, it had that critical hit that allowed it to do so much damage last turn. It doesn't get a critical hit this time around, and you can see just how useful that Misty Seed is as Celesteela uses acrobatics to pick up the knockout on Primarina.
Great job there, probably calling that Protect, realizing that Como is a little bit too much danger, facing down both Acrobatics and Moonblast. And with that big knockout, it looks like Justin's going to be taking a quick 1-0 lead in this championship set.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that Connor didn't bring his Mega Pokemon with him to this game. He might have been relying on Como-O's Z move to try and deal enough damage to win it, but unfortunately, when you're staring down a Fire-type Pokemon with Tapu Fini, Flamethrower can sort of help, but not really. And Acrobatics from that Celesteela will go into the Como-O. Confirms that it's a 2-hit knockout, so that's good information for Connor going into Game 2.
Yeah, and it does survive, pending what this last Pokemon is. Perhaps there's still a chance. But it is Incineroar, so that Intimidate probably going to make a big difference. But I can't imagine Como too likely to knock out both of these Pokemon with a single attack. Perhaps a critical hit with the Z move could be a chance if it doesn't freaking get around the fake out here. Still a pretty close finish. It could go either way. Yeah,
Como-O is definitely going to have to protect this turn so it doesn't get caught off guard by that fake out. So it will come down to how much damage the Clanger's Soul Blaze is going to be able to do to this Incineroar in the next turn.
Yeah, if he can knock it out with a single critical hit, maybe there's a chance here. And also interesting, like you said, we see with Justin having to reveal his last Pokemon, neither of them bringing their Mega Evolutions.
Yeah, and that's something really curious, because I think when you see other divisions play, there's sort of this fixation on the Mega Pokemon that you're going to be missing out if you don't bring it, just because it has so much damage potential along with it. But these trainers just saying, no, I know my matchup, and I know that in this case, the Como-O might be what I need to win, as it does its little hopefully victory dance, maybe more of a psych-up dance to deal some damage to the Pokemon on the other side of the field and boost all of its stats by one stage.
There's certainly plenty of damage potential here. If Connor's going to want to win this game, he's got to get a knockout on both of these Pokemon with this big attack.
It connects. Will it be enough to knock out the Celesteela? Oh, it just did such little damage. Unfortunately, even with the boost to its defense and special defense, it's probably just going to be knocked out by either a Flare Blitz or another Acrobatics, and that will be Justin's first win here. Connor's going to have to... Oh, no, never mind. More good information. Flare Blitz was actually not enough to get that knockout.
Acrobatics, however, coming in, and that will be the game. Well played set by both players, or well played game by both players. But as we move into Game 2 of this best of 3, Justin has the early advantage.
He does, and Connor, I think, is going to have to rethink his strategy a little bit. As much as I love Como-O as a interesting and unique Pokemon to the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon metagame, I don't think it's quite the best fit here. Maybe he wanted to get more damage out of that Thunderous Therian. Maybe the Mawile would have been more helpful, knowing that Justin went with the Trick Room mode of his team, but he's really going to have to mix it up.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mawile is an interesting option here. Connor's now, after playing the first game, hasn't had an opportunity to see how Justin's approaching this set. I think Trick Room is really crucial to Justin's strategy, and Mawile can help with that. Certainly Incineroar becomes a problem at that point, but at least it's one you can control. Very difficult to switch into battle with Primarina firing off those Hyper Voices for so long. So there's definitely options on Connor's side. I think another thing to keep in mind there, you use mostly special attacking Pokemon in that game. The Misty Seed on Celesteela was a huge problem. needed a series of critical hits really to realistically break through that. So protecting that Thunderous is going to be important in this game, or perhaps bringing Incineroar to make sure that Celesteela can't just close it out the way it did the first time.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, Sceptile, Primarina, Komao, and Thundurus Therian were all special attacking Pokemon. So, either that Incineroar or that Mawile might be a welcome addition. But for now, Justin content to go with the same lead, that Porygon 2 and Tapu Fini, and Connor mixing it up with the Incineroar and the Thundurus Therian.
I think this is a much better turn 0 for Connor on the team preview. Thunderous staring down this Tapu Fini. Certainly, it's not going to want to take a big electric-type tap, and with the fake-out potential from Incineroar, not necessarily going to give up that Trick Room immediately either. Certainly, we saw last game the players playing the mind games we see in the older age divisions as well, where both of them are going to realize Water-type Pokemon, Electric-type Pokemon, it's likely where the attack is going. So will they make the obvious move, or will they try to play a step ahead? And again, potential of the Mega Manectric, or the Manectric coming in the back with that Lightning Rod ability, but we don't see it here.
No, instead, Tapu Fini content to protect this turn to stop any attacks from connecting with it. Incineroar faking out the Tapu Fini, and Thundurus revealing that it's brought Taunt to the battle, which will stop Porygon 2 from using any moves like Trick Room or Recover to twist the dimensions. So that's a great play.
Yeah, that's a bold play, too. I mean, even though it seems pretty easy there, right? There's no attacks going the other direction. If you guess wrong and allowed both of them to attack for free, Thundurus could have been knocked out. A great read, Counter having a much better start to his second game.
Yeah, and Tapu Fini forced to retreat to respect the threat of that Thundurus Therian. No Mawile, or no Manectric shown. Instead, it's going to be that Incineroar. So the Intimidate will weaken the attack of the opposing Incineroar. But this could be really good information for Connor. He might not have to worry about that Lightning Rod ability in the back redirecting his attacks. Knockoff from that Incineroar will remove the Eviolite from Porygon 2, immensely weakening its bulk, and an Ice Beam from that Porygon 2 into the Thundurus is not enough to knock it out.
It's still a lot of damage, but if there was a book on how to play against Porygon 2, taunting it so it can't use Recover and Trick Room and using Knockoff to get rid of that Eviolite, definitely going to be bullet point 1 and 2. So still a pretty good start for Connor there. And again, without that Lightning Rod coming in that turn, I think it's very likely. We know all 4 Pokemon on just inside of the field. With Celesteela being so strong in this matchup, it's very unlikely he didn't choose to bring it. So likely the same 4 Pokemon as in game 1.
Yeah, and I think Justin's going to have to think about when that Celesteela is going to return to the field now, especially since it seems like both of Connor's counters to that Celesteela are currently out. Protect from the Incineroar or Thundurus Therian, as Incineroar on Connor's side of the field goes immediately for a Flare Blitz. No fake out from Justin. Instead, Incineroar is going to use U-turn. So this will allow Justin to switch one of his Pokemon back in. And you have to wonder, the Tapu Fini would be great here to try and stop the Incineroar, but then you still have the threat of that Thundurus.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of tough here where Tapu Fini coming in, but there could be huge damage coming out in either of these Pokemon from Thundurus now. Yeah,
I think Justin was really hoping that Ice Beam would connect with the Thundurus to knock it out. So, he might be forced to protect the Tapu Fini this turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a risky play where Thundurus can't knock out both Porygon 2 and Tapu Fini most likely. Flare Blitz would be close, but yeah, Tapu Fini playing it safe.
Yeah, Tapu Fini not ready to get knocked out by this Thundurus quite yet, as Thunderbolt from the Thundurus will try and connect. Flare Blitz from the Incineroar into the Porygon 2 slot. If this does enough damage for the knockout, then that Incineroar, or then that Thundurus Therian will be knocked out by the Ice Beam. Unfortunately, Porygon 2 is able to hold on, and Thundurus is going to be knocked out.
Ooh, tough turn for Connor there. He was just so close to getting rid of that Porygon. Still going to have an easier time knocking out, but losing Thundurus is a big deal. With Tapu Fini already shown, Celesteela potentially that 4th Pokemon, having an electric-type attacker is really important. But in adjustment, we see Mawile, so perhaps trying to stop that Trick Room mode, even though it's going to be tough for Justin to get it off at all, with Porygon now down to, I believe, only 9 hit points.
Yeah, the fact that Connor brought both, the Mawile and revealed that Thundurus Therian new taunt to me says that he was probably really unsure about this Trick Room matchup. He wanted to have both options available to him.
They're really doing a good job of bringing his counters to what happened in Game 1, but fortunately, since Trick Room never got brought out, Mawile's kind of still looking for what it needs to counter. Tapu Fini not has a great matchup with it, but certainly Muddy Water would do a lot of damage to both these Pokemon, and there's still the threat of that Z move that we saw in the first game.
Yeah, and there's no way Justin's going to attempt, a later Trick Room turn, or maybe he wants to, retreating that Porygon 2
big
into
Intimidate
his party for a big Intimidate from this Incineroar. Mawile is really not going to appreciate having its Iron Heads weakened. And here we go. It's time for the Mega Mawile to take the stage as well. Probably one of Mawile's more unique forms. I think it's hardly ever you see it stay in its non-Mega Evolution mode, but going straight for a Protect. So, you know, Connor playing it a little bit safe this turn as we see the Waterium Z come out from the Tapu Fini. Will that connect with the Incineroar on Connor's side of the field?
They're trying to make a read. Can he block this with Protect 2 games in a row?
I don't know. I mean, it's such a difficult decision because, you know, no matter what this Hydro Vortex connects with, you know, it's going to be some big damage. It does connect with the protecting Mawile, so it will do a nice amount of chip damage and potentially put Mawile in knockout range for something in the back of Justin's party. Certainly a Flare Blitz from the Incineroar would always be a threat that Connor has to respect, as his own Incineroar is going to be using U-turn this turn to allow him to switch things around.
Looking like a really good turn for Connor here. A lot of potential problems coming the other way. That Intimidate's unfortunate, but Primarina getting in pretty safely, threatening a bunch of damage in both of these Pokemon, and shedding that first Intimidate. And with the first knockout going toward Justin, it's really hard to get rid of those reduced stages of attack from Intimidate because you can't double switch. Incineroar getting out with it while using an attack, getting some damage. Now only Mawile with reduced attack could switch out to Incineroar if he wants to, though certainly have to be careful for Tapu Fini's water type attacks. Really great play by Connor to keep himself in this game.
You have to wonder, though, Tapu Fini, the Misty Terrain did run out, and Justin has to think if he's going to want to try and bring it back.
Right, no
it's
Misty
the Celesteela, but there's Celesteela is on the field, no Misty Seed activating. Instead, Tapu Fini going directly for the Muddy Water. It will connect with both the Mawile and the Primarina. Does a nice chunk of damage to that Mawile and gets the accuracy drop as well. Hyper Voice from the Primarina will connect with both of these Pokemon, but I think the bigger question is, will Mawile be able to successfully target down that Tapu Fini with its Iron Head? It does connect, but thanks to that Intimidate, it leaves it hanging on for one more turn.
It leaves it hanging on, but this is kind of a tricky spot now for Justin. Even though Connor's behind on Pokemon, Justin has to play this really carefully. That Porygon 2 has almost been knocked out, so certainly if it switches in on a turn where Hyper Voice comes out, it's going to be knocked out. But Tapu Fini going for the attack here.
Yeah, Justin, I think, does not need the Misty Terrain, or at least he thinks it, as the Muddy Water connects with the Mawile and the Primarina. Mawile hanging on, but gets another accuracy drop. Primarina going for its second Hyper Voice of this game, again connecting with both the Tapu Fini and the Celesteela. Mawile's Iron Head, it does connect through the 2 accuracy drops on that Tapu Fini for the knockout. And now the Celesteela, we know that its acrobatics won't do a lot of damage because it's still holding that seed. Instead, a Heavy Slam into that Mawile will pick up the KO.
And it's going to get some stat boosts instead. You know, no more Misty Seed, but this Beast Boost will increase one of its stats.
Yeah, that special defense rises there, so bad news for the Primarina.
Yeah, you know, it seemed like it had gotten away with it this time. The Misty Seed not going to be a factor in this match, but perhaps with that extra special defense, Celesteela will be able to survive one more attack.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Connor, too, you know, we are going to see the return of the Incineroar on Justin's side of the field. You know, Connor's Incineroar, it will get an Intimidate off on the Celesteela and the opposing Incineroar, but, you know, Justin could easily switch one or both of these Pokemon out depending on how the next few turns go. Connor's stuck with that Intimidate.
Right, but I think that Connor's feeling pretty good here. You know, Primarina facing down a low health Celesteela that no longer can activate its Misty Seed, a Porygon 2 that's nearly been knocked out, and a very low health Incineroar. And unlike Muddy Water, Hyper Voice can't miss. That's one of the things that's really great about that Liquid Voice. Kind of allows for the accurate double target water type move that otherwise doesn't exist. I think Connor's probably going to pull this one out and push it to a game 3.
We'll have to see. You know, it's all in Connor's hands now. All he has to do is figure out how does he play this with his last 2 Pokemon so he can win.
Great start.
Incineroar leaving the field, saving that Intimidate for later. Porygon 2 returning, getting another attack boost from the download, unfortunately. Celesteela going to slow things down a bit with the Protect, as Fake Out from the Incineroar will connect with that Celesteela, and the Hyper Voice should be able to pick up the knockout on that Porygon 2.
Well, that's a wonderful play by Justin. He kind of says, not so fast, I'm still in this one. So why that's important, with both the Incineroars coming out in the same turn, they could have just traded Fake Outs, and then Primarina would have closed this game with the Liquid Voice boosted Hyper Voice. Now it's not so simple, where Celesteela doesn't take any damage because it's protected. Incineroar comes back in, gets another Intimidate out, and more importantly, it can use Fake Out again, allowing perhaps Celesteela to get one more attack off. Still, Celesteela not in a great spot where it's facing down a Fire-type Pokemon and that powerful Primarina. but perhaps the combination of a fake out and an attack from Celesteela could at least give Justin a chance to win this game.
Yeah, it's such a tough decision. I mean, which one of these Pokemon do you fake out? On the one hand, Incineroar, is definitely a threat, but we haven't seen Primarina use Protect at all. So, Justin choosing to fake out the Primarina as Flare Blitz from the Incineroar will crash into that Celesteela for the knockout. So all Connor has to do is be able to connect one of those Hyper Voices with Justin's Incineroar, and that should be enough to bring us into a Game 3.
Yeah, perfect accuracy on Hyper Voice. So, wow, what a really great game played by Connor, and a great attempt by Justin there. He did everything he could the last couple of turns to pull that one back, but just a little bit too far behind. This Primarina has really been putting out the damage in this set. Super impressive.
And that's so exciting, too, as we see Connor use Knockoff to reveal the Assault Vest on Justin's Incineroar. Like, Primarina is just not a Pokemon that you normally see being played, and like you said, thanks to that Liquid Voice ability, it's kind of the Tapu Fini that Tapu Fini wants to be.
Yeah, amazing job by Connor. Comes back after that loss in the first game, pushes to Game 3, and wow, Primarina is dominating this set. That's something I thought I would ever say. When the hidden abilities were released for the starter Pokemon from the Alola region, everyone deservedly was very excited about the Intimidate on Incineroar, but it's Primarina's hidden ability that's really taking over this match. Hyper Voice, normally a normal type attack, becomes a water type attack because of Liquid Voice, but you're really seeing Primarina's own natural strength. It doesn't increase the power of moves the way like Gardevoir's Pixelate or Mega Gardevoir's Pixelate or Mega Salamence's Aerolate does. Just this strong to begin with. Primarina is really dishing out the pain.
It definitely is. As we go into the final team preview of this Juniors Championship match, I gotta say, we saw an amazing adjustment there by Connor, bringing both the Thundurus Therian with Taunt and the Mawile to stop Trick Room. I can't help but wonder, though, if he's gonna bring both of those again to this game, or if Justin's gonna decide maybe he doesn't want Trick Room. Maybe it's time for that Manectric to take the field.
If he views Primarina is the problem, I think both Manectric and Snorlax, the two Pokemon he hasn't brought already, would really help with that matchup. So I'll be excited to see if he thinks he has to change it up by bringing other Pokemon, or if he just needs to maybe prioritize damaging Primarina a little bit more.
Well, there is the mix-up from Justin, leading the Manectric and the Tapu Fini against the Incineroar and the Thundurus from Connor. So already this Thundurus is going to be unable to use those electric-type attacks, provided that Justin does not Mega Evolve the Manectric and lose the Lightning Rod ability.
Yeah, so we get some fun mind games here. Manectric, part of why it's so amazing is two great abilities. This Lightning Rod, while it's Manectric, which attracts all the single target electric type attacks on the field to it and increases its special attack. Importantly here, defending Tapu Fini from any onslaught from Thundurus. But also when it evolves against Intimidate, which is a big deal too, choosing Protect here, preserve its ability.
Yeah, definitely. That Lightning Rod is going to be huge going into this Game 3 as we get a double Protect on Justin's side of the field, not wanting to risk getting hit by the Fake Out from the Incineroar, which otherwise would have connected with that Tapu Fini, and Thundurus Therian revealing that it has Sludge Bomb, targeting down the Manectric.
One of the great things that makes Thundurus a powerful attacker that maybe other electric type Pokemon don't have is that Sludge Bomb move. Super effective against Tapu Fini and against Tapu Koko. So, but among the more powerful Pokemon in this game that resist you normally want to deal with Thundurus, really powerful secondary attack.
Well, that Snarl will weaken the special attack of the Thundurus and the Incineroar, though I don't think the Incineroar matters as much. Sludge Bomb from that Thundurus Therian successfully connecting with the Manectric at this point, and you can see just how big that Snarl was, giving Tapu Fini the opportunity to go immediately for a Calm Mind to boost its special attack and special defense by one stage each. This Tapu Fini, we already know it has that Waterium Z Crystal. When it decides to use that Z move, it's going to be huge, and Connor, he does manage to get the knockout on the Manectric, so we should have at least one chance to attack this Tapu Fini with the Thundurus Therian, but, it's going to be that much harder to knock it out now.
A really expensive Snarl there, but it does make a big difference. With the Calm Mind and with the Snarl on Thundurus, electric-type attacks, even without Manectric on the field, aren't going to do that much now. And now that Incineroar's out, could fake out that Thundurus perhaps, allow Tapu Fini to get a second Calm Mind. The snowball's kind of starting on Justin's side of the field. I'm curious if Connor was a little surprised to see that Calm Mind. Often when we see Waterium Z, it comes at expense of Calm Mind. Players usually use Haze instead, so maybe not what he was expecting. He didn't think this was something he was going to have to consider.
Yeah, and if Connor has something like the Mawile in the back of his party, this might be a great chance to switch it in. On the one hand, yeah, there's an Incineroar. It's a fire-type Pokemon on the field. Mawile's not going to like that, but, you probably are going to see a fake out from that Incineroar this turn to try and buy Tapu Fini more time. Instead, 2 protects this turn, 1 from that Tapu Fini and 1 from that Thundurus Therian, as Incineroar fires off a Flare Blitz into the protecting Tapu Fini, and Incineroar on Justin's side of the field uses Knockoff into the opposing Incineroar, also revealing the Assault Vest item.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for Connor here. Yeah, certainly without the Assault Vest, not going to have an easy time surviving any water type attacks.
Oh, definitely
And
not.
then I'm a little surprised. I thought for sure Tapu Fini would do something that turn, either attack or Calm Mind, where with the fake out, Incineroar wasn't too threatening. Interesting choice.
Yeah, Thunderbolt from that Thundurus Therian into the Tapu Fini, but that Snarl and Calm Mind boost allowing it to hold on as we see the Life Orb revealed on the Thundurus Therian, and it's time for that big Z move from Tapu Fini. Big question is, who's it going to connect with, and which Pokemon is it going to knock out?
It's because he knock out either way. We saw previously all those protects blocking the Z moves. Not this time. Going to be a big knockout for Justin.
No, with that Calm Mind as well, even though it is a little bit of a risk, running Calm Mind on the Waterian Z set, when you get situations like this and you're able to knock out a Thundurus that otherwise would have gotten the knockout on you, it certainly does pay off. Flare Blitz from the Incineroar on Connor's side of the field will connect with that Tapu Fini, just trying to chip it down so that hopefully whatever Connor has remaining can knock it out. As Incineroar on Justin's side of the field, happy to have accomplished its goal, uses U-turn to save that Intimidate for later.
Yeah, really great job by him. Incineroar will be able to come in later and not only intimidate something, but also get that fake out. Tapu Fini's health starting to get worn down. Not the quickest of Pokemon, and this time Misty Seed will activate on Celesteela.
Yeah, though the Incineroar is still on the field for Connor, which means something that Justin's really going to have to watch out for is those Flare Blitz. And if Connor has something like the Sceptile or maybe even that Primarina in the back of his party, Tapu Fini's already taken so much damage. It's very likely that he'd be able to knock it out before it's able to knock out his own Incineroar. So it's all about the board position in this turn.
And we do see the Intimidate coming out here, reducing Celesteela's attack, even as its special defense is increased. And one thing to keep in mind, too, now there's Mawile and Incineroar out, 2 physical attackers. Both have trouble damaging Incineroar, so you'd like to get that out if you're Justin. However, both of these Pokemon have also increased their stats. There's a Calm Mind on Tapu Fini, there's that Misty Seed on Celesteela. To bring Incineroar back in now, you'd have to sacrifice that.
Well, nobody is switching out yet, so I think Justin is ready to go for it as Connor Mega Evolves his Mawile into its Mega Evolution form. Tapu Fini with the Muddy Water. It connects with both the Incineroar and that Mawile. It's gonna be enough to knock out that Incineroar, so this Mawile lost half of its health already, may or may not have gotten an accuracy drop. It looks like this time Mawile free to Iron Head that Tapu Fini for the knockout, and now Celesteela, it could go for an Acrobatics here, potentially knock out that Mawile, but instead going for a Leech Seed. Something that we haven't seen in a very long time from Celesteela, but definitely what it got its fame for.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to get that extra health restored, and even though its attack has been reduced, it can slowly whittle down its opponents with that Leech Seed. The combination of Incineroar and Celesteela are going to deal with this Maul pretty easily, so the final Pokemon on Connor's side hasn't been revealed. It's going to have to be what wins it for him.
And it's the Primarina, so, Connor is definitely still in this. Those Hyper Voices have done so much work for him throughout games 1 and 2. This is the perfect setup for him in game 3. He just needs to make sure that he can capitalize on it.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love that Primarina coming in. The last Pokemon on Connor in the last game of the tournament, kind of been the MVP so far. Get a win or lose by that Pokemon, right? However, gonna be a little tough for it here. There's the threat of the Fake Out with Incineroar coming back in. The big damage from Primarina so far, aided by Choice Spec, so won't be able to use Protect.
Yeah, so Fake Out from that Incineroar is going to stop Primarina from moving this turn as Mawile reveals that it's brought Rock Slide. It will connect with both that Celesteela and that Incineroar, but the bigger question is, will Celesteela flinch? And it does!
Massive flinch. Where there's a Rock Slide, there's a way. Avoiding any damage on that Primarina with the Rock Slide, and this Mawile can damage these Pokemon. Typically, we see Iron Head, Play Rough, and Sucker Punch as Mawile's attacks. Not so effective with these Pokemon. Rock Slide makes a big difference. That was a ton of damage on both of these Pokemon, and Incineroar's been weakened enough. Maybe a Hyper Voice can take it out now.
Yeah, and it's even possible that this Mawile could protect for a turn and just let Primarina get 2 Hyper Voices down on it. Instead, no protects. Primarina immediately going for that Hyper Voice, and it's enough to knock out the Incineroar. So it is all down to the Celesteela on Justin's side of the field, but another Rock Slide will connect with it. I don't think Celesteela would appreciate flinching again here. It is able to use the acrobatics, targeting that Primarina, but it does hardly any damage.
Don't forget that Celesteela was still afflicted by Intimidate. Even though it has the increased special defense to survive longer, it didn't switch out of battle, and now it won't be able to. It's going to have to deal with the rest of this game with that reduced attack. Likely going to see a Protect on Celesteela's side. Need to get all the HP it can back from that Maw, but Primarina is in good shape here. It could pull it off.
Yeah, we do see that Protect from the Celesteela. It's going to want to slowly sap away at that Mawwile's health as Primarina and Mawwile just left attacking into the Protect.
Oh, this is going to be so close. Will Mawwile survive the Leech Seed?
I don't know. It does not. So it is 1v1 Celesteela versus Primarina. Certainly not a matchup I was expecting to see today.
Definitely not. Worth noting, too, since Leech Seed got the knockout and not one of Celesteela's attacks, it does not get the Beast Boost. It does not get that increased special defense. Tough decision on Justin's side. You go for Leech Seed or for an attack here?
Yeah, Connor just has to keep pressing that Hyper Voice button and hope for the best. Leech Seed does connect with the Primarina. So now Celesteela is going to be free to Protect next turn, get a little bit more health back, and I think barring a critical hit, it should be able to wear down Primarina's health to 0.
Yeah, it's going to be really close here. Probably what we're going to see is a Protect, then Primarina is going to have to get a critical hit because otherwise, even if a Celesteela's attack doesn't knock Primarina out, it can just Protect again, get more of that Leech Seed healing. It's only going to get one more shot.
Yeah, there we go. You know, this turn may seem like a slow turn, but it's all building up to the next turn where everything will be decided.
Yeah, this is it right here, right? I mean, we know what's going to happen. Celesteela, I guess it could go for another Protect, but not much need to. It'll probably attack. Primarina's going to go for that Hyper Voice, and it's going to need the critical hit to get it. It's all come down to this.
It's all come down to this. Primarina goes for its attack, you know, using that Hyper Voice to power through, but it is not enough. Celesteela firing off in acrobatics, and just like that, Justin Miranda Radbird is your 2018 North American International Champion.